Welcome to Weekly Wins and Losses. My name is James Hepner, former real estate entrepreneur turned self-development hacker, coach, and fulfillment strategist. Each week, we bring you a thought to wrestle with that'll help you live fully alive and gain more life. Real life is made up of both wins and losses. Both were designed for your good. That's basic reality. Without facing and learning how to embrace your losses for greater gain, you miss out. You leave 50% of your life experience on the table. So with that, let's begin the show.
Hey folks, it's good to be back. It's been a bit of time. It's, I think, probably 2, 3, maybe 4 years. Gosh, a long time. I've been busy working on other projects and I just had to get back in the chair. I'm flying out tomorrow for an event, and I had so much stuff in my mind. I'm like, I got to get some stuff out. Where am I going to do it? And so I'm going to share some stuff that I hope will be of value to you. And I'm committing to anyway to keep this podcast really short, substantially shorter than what it's been in the past. And I'm doing it for a couple of reasons, primarily so that when I throw something down, that you have something to chew on. And it doesn't take up too much of your time, but the idea that I'm going to throw down offers you an invitation to go a little deeper into that specific thing. I want to keep things really simple. My concept in all that I do is simplicity. So I tend to oftentimes throw down things that require a little bit of thinking. I know that's just how my brain works. And so, gosh, I know for myself when I bite into a podcast and I'm, sipping on a noodle and I really like it. And then there's a lot of those noodles that I gotta, sip on and slowly, ingest. I tend to get spaghetti sauce on my face and it gets a little bit messy. So I want to keep things really tight and keep things just organized and really succinctly, clean so that you guys can get after things and get after your life. And the idea again is to throw down little ideas that you can use to integrate into your day. So as many of you know, I am a investor, I'm a business person, and my primary work is I work with CEOs, I work with founders, leaders, creatives, operators, and high capacity and high value decision makers who need a trusted perspective. So a lot of people call me their trusted private strategic advisor. And I offer strategic clarity, and to be honest, I do my best to offer wise counsel during those important seasons of decision making. So I kind of chuckle when I think about wise counsel. I don't consider myself wise at all. Wisdom to me is something that you hear. I really enjoy conversations with other people because you pick up on all types of things, and that of course helps to evolve one's thoughts forward. So I think better said, strategic clarity so that you can make better maybe decisions or wiser decisions. I mean, whatever that looks like. But just an offering today. I'm here showing up and I'm allowing you to, borrow my brain for half a second. Like, I'm always privileged that I can do the same with you folks. Whenever I talk with you, if I have that opportunity, I think that's what we do for each other. We are all wise and we help each other in that way. So I hope this podcast just serves in that way. And, you're able to grab a couple of nuggets and go from there. So my goal always is to offer a different perspective. And again, just that clarity so you can make decisions for really complex seasons of life. So the goal here and all the work that I do is never dependency. The goal is simply for clarity, discernment in that wiser forward movement. So I had an experience a little while ago, about a week ago actually. I have a investment property that's not been so great for me. It's been an alligator property ever since I purchased it, and I normally don't get close to those things. Cash flowing for me on real estate is essentially a necessity typically, but I really like this beach home, and it was had a really nice view, ocean view, and it's just fantastic. And so I decided I was going to purchase it, and we did so about 8 years ago. And It's been an upside down property ever since we got it, and I knew it. A couple thousand in the negative every month. So the holding costs pretty intense when you consider over the year and you consider 8-9 years of holding. So I knew I was in it for a bit of time, but make a long story short, I don't think I was fully aware of some of the economic climate. I am an asymmetrical investor. I do mitigate my risks away the best that I possibly can. I do think I bought a good property. It was, really good, pristine location, one of the lower price point lots at the time, and the little house on it was really not cool. It was just a garbage house basically, and it came with a tenant. And so the tenant's character, character not garbage, but it's just an interesting guy. So I'll put it that way. Been extremely difficult. Now here's the thing: when I bought the property, I learned years ago. I don't know where I heard this. It may have been from an event or something, but we often, the speaker said, we often don't have difficult clients. We are inflexible people. And so I've onboarded that for everything that I'm involved in. So tenant included. This guy was pretty difficult, but then I told myself I got to be more flexible. So I worked on myself, and he was a really good person for me to work through certain things. And so I try my best to, just stay open and stay flexible with him and just work different angles. And basically I came to the conclusion that to no avail. This guy is stubborn, and he's determined to make people's lives difficult. And I think that became apparent when I decided that I was going to sell this property. And I had my realtor, who's also a broker of an agency. I like him tremendously. He's a really good guy, and he's become a close friend of mine actually now. He was going to go and measure up the property and take some pictures and do all that good stuff. And so when he approached my tenant made it extremely difficult, firstly, to communicate. And then my tenant did to my agent what he's been doing to me, for me, whatever, but to me for the last 8-9 years, which is using a whole bunch of superlatives constantly, like throwing F-bombs and just being very disrespectful, and just not having any respect. And one of the things that I, learned about myself in that moment, and I've always known this, but I'm able to handle people treating me like garbage. I don't like it, but whatever, it is what it is. And I try not to make a story of it. And it's just what happens, and you kind of keep moving, right? Like that's kind of part and parcel of this world, right? If you're an investor, if anytime you get emotionally involved, you folks will know you are, when I say upside down, as far as finance, yeah, you're upside down, and you have a lot of upside downness going on. Like you have double time upside downness. So, this guy anyway, so the tenant, being super rude and just harming, basically, not just hurting my land or my my agent, but just being not helpful. So that kind of hit a chord for me. So like I was saying, if people take advantage of me, I can hang on to it for a bit. But if they do it to my people, then that's it. So it's a little bit like my family. If somebody were to, bring harm to my wife or kids, I don't handle that very well. I go into protection mode pretty quickly, and away we go, right? So that happened here with the tenant, and I'm like, okay, this guy clearly has to go. And make a long story short, I decided this tenant, when I say had to go, I was going to need to evict him. And here in British Columbia, and I'm imagining wherever you're listening, the rules are probably similar, where the tenancy laws are set up to really support the tenant over the investor, and for a lot of obvious reasons, and I think a lot of them are appropriate. They are appropriately set up so that it isn't just where people with money who buy property have the ability to displace people and put them on the street, right? We want to make sure we treat people kindly and fairly and all those good things. But anyway, it's probably gone a little bit too far. That's my opinion. It's gone a little too far here in BC. And And I knew that when I bought the property years ago. However, now I had the real experience, and I've never had to evict a tenant. I've had many properties. Typically, like again, cash flowing positive. Tenants are in there, and oftentimes we'll have a manager manage for me. And this property I chose not to, and I was going to do it myself. And make a long story short. Trying to evict him has been a bit of a nightmare, and to the tune of having to drive down to the location, which is only about 10 minutes from where I live. However, it's just a hassle and it's a bother and it's an annoyance. I've had to do that probably, I don't know, like 10 times. I've had to post multiple eviction notices and then different notices because he comes back, and then he, when I say he, the tenant will, let's take a look here, just recording. Okay. The tenant will file a dispute, and then I have to come back and file another response, and then I have to go bring that to him and post it on his door, and so it just goes on and on and on. So as you can imagine, it's a bit of a hassle, a bit of a bother. And so one of the days that I drove over, I asked my wife if she could come with because I needed a witness. I had to take a picture and I had to post that to the file so that I had a good case, which, by the way, we're almost to the point now where I think he's going to be evicted in about a week or two, if it works out. We may have to go through Supreme Court, apparently. I didn't know there's Supreme Court in Canada, but apparently we may have to do Supreme Court in Canada. So I'm driving over with her, and I'm feeling like there's a story that's wanting to develop. And so I want you to think about in your life, when something new happens, what happens inside of yourself with creating a story? Now, this is a new situation for me. I'd never had a tenant be this aggressive and be this committed to being difficult. So it's brand new. And while I was contemplating this, my wife realized I was in a certain space, and so she was quiet. It was kind of, we had our moment just driving in silence. And then I just perked up and I said, wow, I just realized there's a new story trying to formulate, and it's saying that real estate investing is horrible. And then I heard a little voice that said, this is why you don't want to invest in real estate anymore. I'm like, holy smokes. Firstly, I didn't say it, but that was what was going on. That was a narrative behind it all. And I thought to myself, gosh, this is so fascinating. All that this is a new story of having a new experience. I've invested many times in real estate, but this is a new experience. I've never had this before. And I thought to myself, this is fascinating, actually. And so I want you to consider for yourself. Again, when something new happens, does it instantly become a new story? Or what do you do with it? And if it becomes a new story, is it a beneficial story? Well, clearly for me, had I adopted that story, that would not have been helpful. That would have been very detrimental. And of course, the reason I share this is we all know that in life, we have two things typically that we do. We build, then we tear down. So we build, we tear down. We build, we tear down. Okay, so after the tear down, we rebuild, right? To learn, I wouldn't say is easy, but learning is much easier than to unlearn. So what you take in is very important. So if you take in a shitty story, like a really crappy story, there will come a point in time in your life when you're going to have to unlearn that. And to unlearn that story, gosh, what did you miss during the time that that story was in circulation in your life? And so I guess just wanting to offer you folks that little nugget that is really simple, but I'm just going to challenge you. When there's something that happens that's new, ask yourself the question, is this becoming a story? And if it is it empowering? And when I say empowering, be very careful, because empowering isn't, well, this really sucks, and then flip that very quickly into, it's amazing, I love it. It's not real, okay? Yeah, that doesn't help. That's positive thinking BS. When you're experiencing something that you don't like, it's always more helpful if you bring it to a place of neutrality before you go from the negative straight to the positive. Your subconscious knows that it's not in alignment, or your experience is not in alignment with your words. And I understand the concept. Use language to create the experience you want. However, let's be honest. If a tenant would do this again, I don't need my mind to think this is fantastic, it's awesome, it's positive. I can just be like, well, it is what it is. Like, I want to accept reality for what it is, but I don't want to put the expectation on myself that I got to be all positive, like be flying high as a kite so that this is fantastic. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So just ask yourself the next time something happens and it's new, and maybe it's not a good new experience, ask yourself the question, is this worthy? Is this beneficial? Is this helpful? And let's say it's not. Well, just be aware that it doesn't become a new story. And I would also caution not to reject it, not to push it away. Because if you push it away, you will have to deal with it at some point in time, right? You're going to push it down onto your little haunted house, and that little trap door is going to fling open at some point in time, and you're going to have to work that stuff through. So I just want to, give you that. For me, it was a gift. Do with it as you wish. New stories, new experiences. Let a new experience be a new experience. If a story wants to build, stand guard at the door. Stand guard at the door of the mind. Be careful what you take in. If you take in the wrong story, you'll have to pull that thing apart. You have to unlearn the story. And who knows how much time you've wasted? What have you missed with that story in circulation? So anyway, enjoy new life, enjoy new experience, and enjoy creating stories that actually matter.
My sincere hope is that you've gleaned a few nuggets for yourself and a few pieces of interest that help you move forward in your unique journey. So again, I thank you for joining me here. This is James Hepner clocking out. Until next time, peace out, rock up.